Hey everyone, Jono here. Today I've got a special guest with me. His name is Dallas Wales. Dallas, how's it going?
It's going all right. How about yourself?
Really good, thanks man. So quick question. Your name is Dallas, but you're not from Dallas, are you?
I've never been to Texas in my life. I've also never heard that question before. You're the first person to ever ask me
Oh, dude, any random.
that.
That's cool. So whereabouts are you from?
I live in California, Southern California. Probably
Beautiful.
about 2 hours away from Mexico.
Okay.
I kind of grew up in this sort of rural area, but I live in Carlsbad now, which is sort of this beachy town.
Nice. That sounds cool. Okay, so Dallas and I both are members of the objective personality class. And the interesting thing about us is we have been typed pretty much exactly the same, but there's one small difference, and that is uh, feminine sensory versus masculine sensory. Now, just real quick, I'm going to bring up our objective personality type results just so we can compare. And that should, can you see that on the
Again,
screen? Excellent. All right.
excellent.
So the one on the left is Dallas and the one on the right is me. We're both ENFPs, consume, sleep, play, and missing blast. But as you can see, the first letter here is for Dallas is F and for me is M. That dictates the sensory function, which for us is SI. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of really cool, interesting differences here. One of them, that I thought was super interesting is for you, Dallas. You've actually got, so your saviors are masculine and your demons are feminine.
Hmm.
Whereas for me, it's like a bit of a mix. I got like FM, FM.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I just thought that's interesting. We'll unpack that a bit later.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to what we were talking about. How do I get rid of this stupid thing? Stop share. Cool. All right. So before we get into comparing us, just wanted to double check with you on your typology journey. How did you get into typology?
So me with typology, my friend John, who actually originally typed as an ENFP, it was just the MBTI, and I did kind of like, we had a high school psychology class. We sort of both took them at the same time. He got ENFP and I had gotten INFJ actually. And I have kind of just been really interested in typology ever since then. I feel like I've been in the game now for, geez, like how long ago is 2000? Yeah, a decade.
That's a long
Um,
time.
yeah. Um, so I've done a whole bunch of things like the MBTI and the Enneagram and Socionics and True Color and every other,
Yeah.
ridiculous thing that you can put out there. Which Disney princess are you? Belle. Um,
So which Disney
so
princess are you?
Belle.
Belle. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Anyway, but I've just done all of those and like just spent like hours and hours and hours of time on just personality forums and trying to unpack it. Yeah. I don't know.
Nice. And then you came, when did you come across objective personality?
I had a friend in the class named Julie, and they had met kind of last year, I think, and she was into the MBTI, and I was into it. We were both kind of like playing like tabletop games, and then sort of like MBTI types had come up,
Yeah.
and she I think was actually into OP a little bit before I was. I was just kind of the flavor of the MBTI that she had been into, and was talking, and we asked kind of each other's types, and I had said, "Oh, I'm INFJ," and she's like, I don't
Are you
know.
sure?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't seem like any INFJs I've ever met." So
Okay. That's cool, man. Um, yeah. So obviously you went through the class, you got typed, came out as an ENFP. How hard was that? Like, did you agree with it straight away?
the whole time that I was kind of there was a month I think I was waiting for the type. I was just sitting there like, and I was just like, oh man, they're gonna type me INFP or something. And I was like, I was actually kind of like more I had this like idea in my head that I just knew that they were gonna like type me INFP, and I was just like, ugh, that's bad. Like it was just I didn't want to be one.
Yeah.
Um, and and that actually it was the type video, and so I saw the video when they sent it to me in the morning, and I saw the NE and the FI, but my brain flipped them as
Right.
FINE, and I was just like,
Confirmation bias.
yeah,
It's
it's just like, damn it.
you've brainwashed yourself.
Yeah, I was like, and then they're like talking to ENFP, and I'm like, what? So,
Dude,
I
that's
don't know.
actually that's really interesting because like for me as well, like before I came into objective personality, I spent about 2 years in typology, and I had kind of convinced myself that I was also an INFJ. I mean, it's the first result I got on a test, and I did a few other little tests here and there, and I kind of got like between INFP and INFJ. And I
Yeah,
was kind of the same as you. I was like, I don't want to be an INFP. I don't want to have FI. Fuck FI. It sounds like
yeah.
it sounds like a shit thing to have.
So listen, well, I feel like every single stereotype or meme or anything you see with INFPs, like I just think about these like I just think about the MBTIs as memes, like video you've seen on
Yeah.
YouTube, and it kind
Yeah.
of like does one, and then I think they have the INFP guys like furry or something, and it was just like
Yeah. Or like just like mopey, or like just really
Mo-
like this just thing that drifts through life. Not really.
mhm. Yeah, we can't escape mopiness with
Yeah.
consumed sleep, but
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's cool, man. All right. So, what I wanted to do was, so you and I actually, we wrote out some questions, and I've kind of just been expanding on them throughout the week. The first one was wanting to just compare the graphic that I shared
mhm.
and the differences in functions. So I'm going to try to make this graphic appear on the video when I put it on YouTube. But
Okay.
so what are your thoughts on the difference between masculine NE and feminine NE? And do you think there is a masculine and feminine NE?
So that's it's very interesting, and something that has been really kind of at the forefront of the questions that I've been sort of wanting to ask, and I haven't gotten like because I feel like I feel like the general idea of intuition, like you hear the phrase like feminine intuition, my feminine intuition. It
Yeah,
seems
yeah,
like intuition is almost more of this kind of like stereotypically feminine thing,
yeah,
and it's just sort of hard to unpack kind of the way I use it versus the way I see it in other people.
yeah.
And one thing that Dave and Shannon were telling me specifically was just like I get really dogged about things that I think I know, or like if I think I've seen a pattern, because I play a lot of, and I think the easiest thing I can say is I play like a lot of MOBAs online. Like
Okay.
I would play like Dota, League
Yeah.
of Legends style, and I'm just the kind of person who, like, when I get the idea in it that like the enemy team is gonna do something weird, I'm just like they're gonna do this, and I'll tell these people who are with me, they're like, you don't know that, and then it'll happen, and I'll be like,
Okay, so yeah, right.
I can't ever explain why. I always feel like my reasons and how I got to those reasons are shitty.
Okay.
But
do you think then, like, so when you do have that scenario and you have like a hunch, or you have this curiosity of something that may happen, do you find yourself really kind of like treating that as almost like a fact? Like, yes, this is going to happen?
not necessarily as, I mean, I feel like a little unsure about calling it necessarily a fact, but it's just this intense possibility, and I feel like my possibilities are always convergent. Like I'll pull in a bunch of different reasons for it, but they converge.
So it's like a predicted, like you've predicted it, and like the statistics in your mind are saying that the likelihood of this happening is quite high.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I use the term fact, I guess, more along the lines of like, you're so sure it's going to happen that you actually like, you cling on to it and you're like, yes, I'm going to believe this type thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. Sorry.
There's.
I can relate to that to some extent. I mean, like I'll definitely have hunches, but just from what the way you've explained it, I don't think for me that I'm as like committed to that one or like a few possible scenarios. I feel like I feel like, I know this is going to sound really cliche, but it's more movable in the sense that, like,
Mhm.
there are different possibilities, but um, it's not like I'm going to cling on to one. I'll just like say, okay, all these things could happen, and just whatever one happens is the way it's going to go out. But I'm just kind of semi going to prepare for whatever, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
Is that a good contrast between like feminine
Let's
and
see.
masculine?
I I think so. Like, cause I feel like I can definitely entertain a few ideas if people want to sort of like spitball with me about ideas. Definitely very easy for me to do that.
Yeah.
Um, and but like I feel like I generally have a good strategy for like pulling in a whole bunch of things, and I'll pick one that I like, and then I'll like I'll try to make that one work, or I'll try to figure out how to make something like that work, or I will. One of them will just burn a lot brighter than the others.
It almost sounds like you're describing NI in a sense. It's like NI is kind of works in a similar way. It's like they gathered all the information and they've
Mhm,
based on all the data, they've made one prediction and kind of going with that one,
mhm,
or like really narrowing down on one kind of prediction.
mhm.
Do you relate to that in a sense?
Well, it was a part of the INFJ that I kind of had a hard time
Mm,
letting go of for myself. Was I did feel like in some cases my guesses could be narrow. Um, I can entertain a whole bunch of ideas. Like I feel like I
yeah, for
can.
sure.
But and not only that, but I also felt like so the easiest thing for me. So this is actually I think a good difference. It is so easy if say you are in this hypothetical situation where you're having an argument with me. It is so easy for me to get gaslit on facts. So if someone's just like, are you sure that's how you remembered that? Like, is
Yeah.
that really how it went down? And I'm just like, well, I think that's how that went down, and it makes total sense that, but I can't prove to you
Yeah.
that it's like the facts always slip away from me.
Yeah.
Like
You can't
the
back it up with the facts.
yeah, and the thing is, I can look at the same piece of information over and over and over and over. I'll just relate it again to D&D. I'll have like because I oftentimes will run games for my friends, and
Yeah.
there'll be rules that like these rule um, questions that will have rule disagreements, and someone will be like, yeah, well, no, it's like this, and I'll be like, I've been doing this for a while. I think I'm right,
Yeah.
but you seem so confident on this. And a very blasty friend of mine, you seem so confident on this, and I've pulled this up, and I have the paper in front of you and in front of me on my laptop as I'm like narrating all you people, and I'm looking at it, and it aligns with what I'm saying, and I'm still feeling like, am I wrong though? Like,
Yeah. Even though you've got the facts in front of you, you
yeah,
still
they
okay.
feel they feel slippery.
That's interesting. So that kind of like is more. I would say that's more like coming down towards like the masculine versus feminine SI. It's
Yeah.
like the known information, the known sensory information.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
what's your relationship with that? Like with feminine SI?
Man,
Like you gave one great example just then, but do you have any others?
yeah. So I am totally known among my friends as being the kind of person to I lose things all the time, like
Right.
physical objects. I always lose them, and I'm a little nearsighted too, which is as my eyes have gotten a little worse over getting older, that's exacerbated the problem because I don't have
Yeah.
the visual anymore. So I will sit there and my phone, especially because my phone is black, and I'll have it on a black countertop, and I will do the consume monkey problem
Yeah.
where I am trying to get all this information to the last possible moment, and now I flipped into panic mode, and I'm trying to like get to work, and I will pass by the same phone on the table over and over and over and over as I'm trying to do these really like quick cursory scans,
Yeah.
and I almost more have to rely on like I feel like this is a typical stupid place I'd put this, so then I'll like go over there. I don't actually know if I put it there. But
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with me, I'm really well. I think I am. I think I'm good with things and where they're placed. Um, an example is my girlfriend. She's feminine sensory as well, and she's always losing things. Like she's always misplacing things, or she's just kind of like walks through the house and she'll have something in her hand and she'll just put it somewhere. And
I do
so
that.
around the house, there's just all these random like things that she's just placed. And then she'll be in a panic. She'll be like trying to throw things around and trying to figure out, oh, where's this thing? And like she'll ask me, she's like, Jono, do you know where this my phone is? And straight
Mhm.
away, I'll kind of remember. Like it's like I'm drawing from the SI. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
the last place I saw it was here, so I'm gonna go and check. And then, what do you know? It's there.
Yeah. Yeah, my girlfriend will always do that with me. Like just have like such a great memory, and especially ISTJ and
Oh yeah,
masculine SI, just
yeah.
like such a great memory for like, yeah, you put it there like at like you put it there like last night, and it's
She
just like
must be like
how
Wikipedia or something. She must know everything. Just be able to
just like
recall any information at any
yeah,
time.
how do it's like how do you know that like
That's
I would
insane.
yeah I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I have a good memory. SI's last. It's masculine. Um, what I've noticed is I'm really good at remembering events and like the specific details of an event, like
Mhm.
almost in like a timeline type fashion, and what people were wearing, the colors, and all the sensory objects. But more in the moment, or like when people say things to me or they tell me something, that stuff just disappears straight away. Like
Mhm.
after a day or so, it's forgotten. So it's more about like the what's happening in the moment and the sensory that I can really
Mhm.
remember. But just information that gets thrown around, no, it's gone.
Mm. It's interesting. Yeah,
How's your memory? Like if you're trying to like recall information.
I actually have a really good memory, I think. And a funny thing is, a funny useless skill of mine is I feel like I have a great memory for remembering movie quotes exactly as they were.
Oh, okay.
And people like, or I'll just like always have these like quips or something, or like I feel like I can usually have some sort of funny moment based off some instance of some media that I've seen, and I can relate it to a scenario. And people
Yeah.
are always like, "How do you like? Did you watch that movie like 5,000 times?" You know?
Do you remember it like after hearing it once, or do you like you hear a quote and go, "Oh shit, that was awesome," and then go like look it up and read it, or
I'll look it up and read it.
yeah,
If I have an option to rewind something,
yeah,
and if I'm watching a movie like by myself, because I feel like that well, that infuriates other people. But like if I'm by myself, like or with music too, I will do that a lot. To where I will have a specific riff or a specific line in a
okay,
song, and I will just keep wanting to like play it back, and like go back and forth with it, and like really like just like get the entire essence of something, the way someone said something, or like the way an instrument sounded, or just kind
mm,
of the like
that's cool.
I yeah
Yeah,
I
I do that to an extent as well. Like especially the movie quote thing. If there's a funny movie quote or just something random, I'll be like, "That's hilarious. I better remember that."
mhm, yeah I just like I think about it like I guess the first song that's coming to mind that I would do that a lot, that's just maybe sort of notable. So like for Backcountry from Avenged Sevenfold, just like
Oh, dude,
replay.
I love
Yeah,
Avenged Sevenfold.
yeah, just like or I think it's just like replaying like the same like he who makes a beast of himself gets rid of the pain of being a man, and just the whole scream of it, and then just rewinding it and rewinding it and rewinding it, and just
That's
like
cool, man.
I'll just do stuff like that. I always feel like it like infuriates other people because they're just like I just want to listen to the whole song.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. What specific control things bother you?
Specific control things that bother me. So this is kind of interesting because I feel like it's for me, it's not necessarily like there are certain control things that will bother me, but I just feel like I'm like so bad at the control. I guess a kind of a stereotypical example I can give is doctor's appointments or like the DMV or like which is doing stuff for your car in the US and just like these long meetings to where you have to have all of the information perfect. You have to, you could
Yeah.
spend 5 hours, like, and you need all these documents in the right order. You need to have every single one of them, and
Yeah.
they can take 4 hours of your day. You're sitting in there in a line, and you go and you get to the desk and you get 60% of the way done through it, and then they're like, you didn't have this one thing. The whole process is done. Try again.
Missing information.
Missing information. And it's not even like, oh, well, can you come back and get that? And then your progress will be saved. It's just, you're done. And it's just like,
okay.
Yeah.
So is that like a scenario, something that happens to you at work, or like?
So things that will happen, I feel like with work problems, it's always the feeling like I really don't like looking at every single step of a problem because I feel like I know it already. And that's usually what will happen. I usually feel like I have a high confidence surrounding being able to get the gist of something and being able to apply it. And there's just a certain point in time where it's kind of funny because that's what I would have thought I was before. And I thought I was an INFJ, and I was looking at the functions, and I was looking at consume as one, and I was thinking about consume in an SE sense, and I was sitting there going like, I can't handle like tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of factual information, taking it in. That must be SE. That must be SE that I'm hating. Is what I was thinking.
Yeah. So it's like, I relate to you what you're saying about work, about like, you got a problem, you understand like the concept, or like you understand the framework of the problem, but then having to actually go in and like pinpoint it, the details of why is a struggle. And I do that like at work. I work in IT and managed services. So I'm working with computer issues all the time.
That's funny. I'm a programmer.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. You can relate to what I'm going to say then. And is you encounter a problem, you kind of know what it is, but then you actually have to go through like the logs, you have to go through the details, the event viewer, and just to pinpoint. Yeah, it's a struggle, huh?
Yeah, it's the fucking worst. And it's just like, like this, like having to go through, and it's just like, if there's a problem and it's like, well, did you check this? Well, did you check that? Well, did you check this? And
did you check the known information?
Yeah, did you check the known information? Did you turn it on and off again?
Yeah.
Is like...
struggles, man. EP struggles.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think about double deciding? So you and I both have masculine FI and feminine TE. So tell me about double deciding.
And double activated, and two at the front too.
That's intense. Double activated FI.
Yeah.
And actually TE is not activated. That's technically a demon for us.
Yeah. It's funny because the reason I was thinking like they're going to type me as this INFP is I feel like I do have a lot of self versus tribe things, and the only way I can, and this kind of relates to the sleep function, the only way I can kick my ass into having discipline is with myself. Other people cannot give me reasons to like discipline myself. They don't. They don't work.
Yeah, it doesn't, does it?
I remember I was pretty heavy. I was getting kind of heavy 2 years ago, and it was just like none of the reasons about like losing weight or anything was just like just none of it did it. It was just the pain.
Yeah.
Just the pain of being like that, and it was just like I had this idea like I'm gonna go on this regimen. I can't tell anybody. Because if I tell somebody, it's going to ruin it.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my motivation. I need to
because they'll keep track of you or something. Or ask you how's it going.
Yeah.
Just fuck off.
Blast. Yeah. No, they'll blast. They'll be like, what are you doing? That has been such a big struggle with me trying to, because I'm working on some video game projects as well. And I always want to share. I always want to share my projects with people.
Yeah.
And what will happen is then, or people will want to collaborate with me, and it'll be like instantaneously, yes, it sounds super cool. Like more minds, we have more approaches to things. And it's just like the structure surrounding it is just like, oh, did you do this? Did you do this? Like,
Yeah.
well, I was going to do it, but
And
now
like,
because you've
yeah, being blast last, it's like you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to share it. You don't want to have to just pull out all your reasons, and it's a struggle,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, every time I can't do something, it always feels like an excuse.
Yeah.
It's just like, so I'll be quiet and then I'll like try to like I'll try to make up time afterwards. Like I'll try to like get ahead of somebody if we have like two projects, and I'll like kill myself for a little bit, just sort of like doing an intense amount of work just to be ahead of somebody.
That's interesting. And yeah, it's interesting that you said about the like not listening or not taking people's or the tribe's reasons. Dave and Shan actually put a video up in the class about lead FI people. But I feel this is also relates to us as secondary FI and non-activated TE. In a way, we're kind of like a pseudo INFP.
Right.
But they said that like people with high FI really struggle with will really struggle in life, because like it's all about feeling. It's all about how they feel. You can't rationalize with us because we're pushing away the tribe. We're pushing away the reasoning. We're more focused on our values and ourself and our emotions. So trying to get someone like us, like trying to control someone like us is like near impossible.
And, right. Then you throw an EP control. Don't control me, bro.
Exactly.
On top of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I am probably like, if I'm in a bad mood, I am probably one of the most difficult people to cheer up, and there's just nothing you can do. It's just like, I'm gonna go out and I need to listen to music or something, and I'll figure it out myself. And there's so much onus, I feel like, on myself, just like gritting through it and powering through it.
Man, I relate to that so much. It's funny. It's so funny. All right. Modalities of the animals. So what I wanted to compare or contrast was more the double masculine and the double feminine modalities on the animals. So for me, my sleep is double masculine and my play is double feminine. So my inner world, my FI and SI is both like solid foundation. And I feel like that I really am like, I guess I rely on my inner world a lot. Like I feel like that's like my foundation. I feel like all the thoughts, the things that are going in my mind are kind of like almost like, I wouldn't say a comfort zone, but like more like it's really hard to explain. It feels like it's something that I trust. Like I really trust my inner world. I trust what's going on in my mind. I trust the decisions that I'm making. I trust the journey that I'm taking. Whereas the outer world, which is double feminine, NE and TE, like the world around me, I don't really trust. I feel like it's unpredictable. Like it's immovable. Like anything could happen type thing. That it's almost scary in a sense.
Right. And what a good, if that's the perception you have, what a great reason to think that you are an INFJ.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like the chaos.
Yeah.
The external chaos.
Exactly.
Is the thing that's painful.
Yeah, and I always used to think that like I had SE or demon SE because like noises and flashing lights and like just outside sensory stuff, sensory chaos was just like I didn't like it. I need to like I need peace.
It definitely. I think it's kind of funny because I was talking to another one of my friends about just like sensory unpleasantness, and for her it was kind of this like instance of sudden noises, like, you know, like the door flies open or like something really loud happens or something like that was always really bad, which for me, I can handle that. That's not bad. For me, it's repetitive sensory things I can't escape from. So like if somebody, I just think about like eating cereal with my cousin, like really, really, when we were really young, I just think about his smacking problem and just listening to him chew. And there was some politeness where I couldn't leave. There's some social reason I just couldn't leave, or like thinking about somebody just like in the chewing, or like there's like I'm stressed and the cat keeps meowing. Or like, and it's like I can't be mean to the cat. I can't like do something, shoo him away because I'm mean.
Feminine
it's about like
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like I can't get away from it, so I just have to like, yeah, that's the worst.
You just got
Just
to
like
put up with it.
yeah, repetitive sensory things.
Yeah. Okay. So with so for you, your double masculine
Consume.
consume and double feminine blast. Do you see a
Hmm.
contrast between those and like how that could be possible or relate to anything?
Yeah, I feel like the double feminine blast really screws me over in my ability to explain anything, because I feel like somebody can, it's always that feeling like someone can, even when you are just leagues more qualified to talk about something than someone else is.
Yeah.
It's always that feeling like if somebody can like outblast you, and then
Yeah.
your my facts and my reasons always feel like they're like on this boat that can't stand still. And even when like, and it's always even when like I could be right, I could explain it to somebody else, like explain to my girlfriend in a situation that's like, not, there's no high stakes in it, and we'll be like, yeah, you were 100% right. I don't know why you like
Yeah.
what you're saying made total sense. It's just
It's like you're not confident in what you're saying or what you're trying to communicate.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remembered having this, or I just had this experience at like this guitar center. I was walking into like a guitar store, and this guy who was wanting to have, I was needing to get a specific cable for like my microphone,
Yeah.
and like I already knew what cable I wanted. I just needed to see it, and this guy was trying to help me for it, and like I just, as soon as I had to explain to him what it was, I started sounding like I was like, oh, is this kind of like this? And it's like a USB Type B sort of, and then I could see him getting kind of like irritated because I don't, for me, I don't even know why you come over here and you're like trying to help someone if you're not going to be able to put up with it. But I was just like, I really just wanted to have this. I really wanted to turn my masculine on, be like, screw you, I don't need your help. Just leave me alone,
Oh,
because
geez.
there's no way that me explaining any of this to you in such a shaky foundation is going to
Yeah.
help either of us.
Yeah. It's just you're gonna just leave him confused or something, or like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or sometimes I'll just give people like troll reasons like for doing things, and I'll just
Yeah.
do something else. I
Right.
just, yeah, it's just my blast. It just feels like I feel like the really movable blast just makes me feel like it sucks, which is why I'm kind of interested in the idea of like, so in regards to your any, like, do you feel like you are good at intuition? Like, do you feel like how confident are you in your intuitions?
Um, I
Because you
think
seem
since
really, you seem really confident, or you seem a lot more confident in your sensory than I. Like just me, like talking to
mm,
you, you seem more confident in your sensory than I am.
yeah, and that's something you're raising a good question here about like the modalities and confidence. Like masculine seems to be confident, whereas feminine seems to be not as confident. But
Hmm.
in regards to intuition, I think since I've been into typology and understanding what intuition is, and just trying to figure out like how my mind works, I feel confident in the sense that I know how something could play out, but I'm not confident enough to then actually share it or say, hey guys, I think this is going to happen. Let's just try
Hmm.
to prepare. Because then I feel like I need to back it up with facts or reasons. So I think I'm more leaning towards I need facts for this. I need facts for this intuition. Otherwise it's just gonna people are just gonna think it's silly or it's not like it's not actually a proper concept. But I think I don't know. I think I'm learning to like trust it more in the sense of like seeing how patterns can evolve. It's interesting because I do see it as a very kind of like wavy, like mystical, like colors and kind of a good analogy is to look at it like water. Like so the sensory is like kind of like mountains and just imagine like a river kind of like flowing through all these mountains, just kind of like twisting and turning around and
Hmm.
figuring out ways around the sensory. So I feel like with my intuition, I'm good at like working my way around problems and um, issues, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that kind of Does that answer your question?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I don't feel confident in it. I always think that I need to have reasons or facts to back it up.
Hmm.
But yeah, yes, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm always confident in my intuition.
Yeah.
Like almost always confident in my intuition, and I just always feel like the facts, my knowledge, my grasp of the facts, and my ability to convince other people betray me is always what it feels
Mm,
like. Even
yeah.
though I will still feel like, and I'll still have that, especially if I do turn out to be right about something. I'll
Yeah.
almost have this like pop off sort of moment where I was just like, oh, like I wish I could have like explained that like better,
Yeah.
or like because I had it, I really did, and it was just like, yeah,
It's a struggle, man. All
yeah,
right. So being this is a question you sent to me. It's like you said, being consumed sleep. Did you ever expect that Dave and Shan were going to type you as a decider? Do you mean like a lead decider?
yeah. As
Yeah.
I was mostly thinking, like I was expecting to be typed as an INFP when I
Yeah.
was doing the video,
INFP. Yeah. Right.
and
Okay.
for me, I was thinking just because I feel, in some cases, it's kind of funny because in some cases I feel like my single observer problems are a little bit more, they can be more unconscious to me sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, but my single decider problems, or my problems with deciding self and tribe, are a lot more at the forefront of my mind.
Yeah.
Um, and they are the things I'm a lot more aware of, even if I don't think they're things, not things that I don't think plague me as much, even if, I mean, I'll have them absolutely, but I don't feel like I get plagued by them as much as I do
Yeah.
um,
Like chaos
single
and
observe.
control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like trying to get this Zoom call started.
Right, right, right.
We tried three different devices.
I know one of them was gonna work. I just throw everything. I was gonna.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so just on that question, like we kind of touched on it already, but yeah, like the same boat for me. Like I thought I was an INFJ as well. And the funny thing is like I was so sure that I was an INFJ. Like I think that was more like my masculine FI, just like kind of locking on to this
Identity.
idea. And like you couldn't move it. You couldn't reason with me. You couldn't like until objective personality came along, and I trusted in their method and their scientific approach that helped me actually shift and agree with them, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of funny that so when when your identity is not movable and other people throw you reasons for things and you won't move, um, what does that look like for you? Because I feel like for myself, I'm a master of argument aikido, I like to call it, or I feel like a lot of people will walk away from conversations with me thinking that they've persuaded me on something when they
Okay.
haven't at all. And I feel like I don't know if it's the feminine TE, um, if it's just me being able to take other people's reasons for things, and I will be like, yeah, I can see how you got there. That makes a lot of sense. Like you arrived to it like this, and they're like, yeah, and then I, I mean, they're like, yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah. No. It's a good question. So you're kind of asking like how um like if you have a certain opinion on something and the tribe question you about it, you're really unable to kind of you don't
Right.
want to move, or you're unable to explain why, or
Yeah. So does it come across for you more so as like you can take the tribe reasons, but they almost like once they hit the FI, they kind of like blink and bounce off because they don't matter, or
yeah.
is it more like no, I don't I just don't care because that's stupid, and and then
Yeah. I think like I always listen to the tribe reasons, and I
mhm,
usually like whenever someone is having a critical conversation with me, I'm always agreeing. Like I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. I agree, definitely. You're saying like all the logic that's coming out of your mouth all makes sense.
mhm,
But the struggle is actually like taking that logic and then actually applying it.
yeah,
Whereas sometimes like I don't know, it depends on the situation, but if it's something that I know that I have under control and I know and I've got a plan for it, even though it may take a long time, even though it may like be not a logical way of doing it. I know, and I'm confident in the fact that I'm going to get this done. But a lot of people come in and say, "Oh, you should do it differently. You should try it this way, or you should hurry it up a bit, or you should be a bit more demanding with this person." I'm like, no, just let me figure it out. Let me do it.
Which is really funny because I almost the hypothesis I kind of have is your masculine SI almost makes you see more "don't control me, bro" than me.
Okay.
Because I sort of have this idea, and that because you are so locked, because you're locked in on your identity and you're locked in on your control, because those are both
True.
those both don't move. So it's the SI control is like when someone on the outside tries to change things for you. I almost feel like that kind of will, at least the anecdotal "don't control me, bro," I feel like would come more out from you than it would from me, where I feel like it's not as obvious with me that I'm so resistant to I feel like my resistance to control isn't as obvious. Like, I mean, not that I have any idea for you, but just for me, like, that's very much like an anecdote of I don't think I've ever really like had a direct sort of like, you're not going to tell me what to do, unless I feel like the only people who ever really bring that out in me are people who are like really aggressive. So any like masculine TE or masculine FE, like really pushy folks who try to do something, I'll dig my feet in.
No, what you're saying it makes sense, and I've actually never thought about that before. But it's kind of interesting, and it actually sounds like quite true. Whereas, like, you're right. Like, I'm locked in my control, and if someone tries to change that, because it's a demon as well. Like, it'll spark some anger in me a little bit. It's like, don't try to like mess with it's taken me a while to get this thing under control. It's a demon, so don't try to make me change it in, because I got to then force back into control land to then like try to adjust it, and I don't want to do that. And that kind of like leads me into the next question, which is like, what are the best strategies you've come up with for succeeding at your demon?
Best strategies for succeeding at Blast.
Blast or just SI?
SI in general.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I had done that David Jenin thought was pretty cool was I used to, I need to get back into it, but I used to have a bullet journal. I used to be very like, do you got one?
Something like this. Like this is this is the best self journal.
It's the same. Is it like a moleskin sort of like?
Kind of. It's got like, you plan out your day, and then you've got like some like, what are you thankful for? And a few other things, wins for the day, and a nice inspirational quote.
Yeah, I used to do that a lot more. I have an iPad now, so I feel like there's a little bit less of.
I've got one of those as well.
Yeah, it's. I feel like the iPad has kind of like made me not want to use it, which I feel like is a bad thing. I should probably just have another like physical sensory object.
The iPad's made you not want to use the journal.
Yeah, I feel like because there's ways to journal on the iPad, but what I would
I'm keen for you to tell me about that. Let's talk about that after.
Yeah, for sure. But I was thinking, so because I used to have that, and I would just write things down in the journal, and I'd have a bullet journal, which was a specific strategy for accomplishing tasks.
Yeah.
From a day-to-day, from a monthly perspective, from a yearly perspective, and it wasn't perfect. But I stuck with it, and I feel like that sentence just even in itself is really good, because I don't have a difficult time implementing plans if they don't go wrong.
Okay.
I feel like once things start to screw over, or once things start to like hit snags, I want to jettison out of something. But kind of like the strategy I was using it was pretty good for like just being able to like showing that it was just kind of like you got 5 out of the 9 things you wanted to do today done, and it's okay to throw those other 4 things on a monthly perspective, as they're still within the idea that you have, the sort of like ideal world that you have.
Yeah.
You're not losing them. They're not going anywhere or fading into the ether. And it's kind of like just making it okay for me to just kind of like, you've worked on some stuff. You're still blasting towards progress. You still have a sense of control.
Yeah.
I also feel like with my video game tutorials or any like Udemy courses at all, buy or look at, or hobbies I want to get into. I mean, like with like playing like the bass, or like doing like singing, or doing things with D&D, or any projects I have. As long as like I'll just use the bass, just practice something. It's like all you have to do if you're wanting to do this is put the instrument in your hand and run through the scale once. That's it.
That's it.
And the thing is,
make it simple.
usually,
Yeah,
it's not a big deal. And what will happen is once you actually start, the flow state's easier.
Yeah,
the flow state is
100%.
easier once you.
Yeah,
and it's always just that, and you just have to like kind of realizing, just like, you know, if I want to work on a video game program, or I want to like code some video games, all I have to do turn Visual Studio on, turn Unity on, and just mess with it for 5 minutes. That's all you need.
That's like, awesome, man.
Yeah.
Seems like you've really got a good strategy to like really kind of own your blast and actually, because that's the biggest problem for me as well, is like I know I have to do all these things, and what I do is I overthink them too much, and I think, oh, this is going to take so long. This one's going to take forever. But if you just like break it down into really simple steps, it's like step 1, turn computer on. Step 2, open program. It just flows.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see.
That's awesome.
I have another question.
Sure.
Do you just do you have to describe yourself as a perfectionist?
Ooh, I think so. In the sense that, so I relate this to like demon masculine SI, is that like I can kind of be a little bit of a grammar Nazi. So like just, you know, if someone does a typo or something, I'll point it out. More around my house, I really like to have everything in order. So like I like everything to like be in its place. I like everything to be straight. It's like borderline minuscule OCD, but things just need to be in their place. Like every object in the house has a place and it has to be there. If I'm looking for something, I know exactly where it's going to be. So I guess that's kind of perfectionism in a way. Or before I start something, like with this, like before me starting this YouTube journey, I was thinking about like trying to, you know, get the perfect camera, get the perfect microphone, you know, thinking of like all these, trying to get all these great ideas. But whereas I just needed to just get started. Like who cares about the quality right now? Who cares about that stuff? Start small and then slowly like build up.
Right. Yeah. I definitely relate to the, like, I'll see something. I was even looking at an objective personality post today, and I was talking about energy and information coins, and it was like, I think it was like play versus play versus sleep, and then it was blast versus sleep, and I was just like, I have to say something, and I feel like such a nitpicky jerk for even mentioning it, because I feel like everyone's gonna be like, who cares? But I was like, I have to do it. Have you ever, because you have the same type as Weird Al. Do you ever watch any of his videos where he's just like, and I think his girlfriend's a decider, so she doesn't really find why it's so funny to him, but he'll like go and he'll run over to something and he'll just like make like a small like, it's like some sign will be incorrect.
Yeah, small little video clip. Just make fun of it. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I love that. When Dave and Shen like typed him in the class and they showed some of those clips, I was like, this is scarily funny. Like I've done something like that before. Obviously not as much as him, but it's just, it's very relatable. What about you? You do that?
So I have one particular, I'll have to find it's like some Vine-esque video I have that I just think is hilarious. And it's like those goldfish crackers. So like those, product placement between countries is always so weird. These like little crackers that look like fish, and they have all these different flavors of them, and they listed them all out on like the font is always the same on the crackers, and then they have one that's called like baby goldfish because they're smaller, but they listed baby in the same spot as they put all the other flavors of the goldfish. So it's like, so I'm just sitting there baby like thinking like, is this like baby flavored? Like what do you? I always like nitpick and like point out like little weird sensory things like that.
That's interesting. So I guess that just comes down to SI though, not necessarily that it's feminine or masculine.
Yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know. I feel like some of my friends are just like, it's not that funny. It's just like, it's like, definitely is.
It is. It's an observer mistake. Like we've observed something that just doesn't seem logical. That's funny. Okay, so with So you said you got like a planner and stuff. You've kind of, or like you're really kind of owning your demon blast. What about like a routine? Do you have like a daily routine that you try to stick
Um,
to?
that is something that I definitely do need, and I have definitely have troubles surrounding going to bed at
Mm,
specific times of the night. I will. It's just like the consume is definitely what bites me there.
yeah.
It's just like I always want to, and I'm always looking at stuff that it's just like when I think about it later, I'm just like it just doesn't matter. Like why am I like looking at the history of like the Locrian scale? Like it's just all this ridiculous stuff, and there's like my time would be so much better served in this routine and then getting these things done, and I just can't turn the consume monkey off. So
Oh, the consume monkey. It's just,
yeah,
it's so just, there's distractions everywhere, man. Like you want to do something. Oh, look at this. Oh, let's check this
yeah.
out. And then you just get lost for an hour.
Right. So on that note, I've never related, and I feel like they probably would have said something like this to you as well, that you and I don't fit the stereotypical definition of like the MBTI stereotype of the ENFP.
No,
Like, definitely not.
no, we're not super extroverted, crazy, like running around chaos monkey type people.
Right.
The chaos is more happening in our mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I've never like looked at any of like you look at like the Reddit's like MBTI ENFP, and it's just like it's always like these like sparkles and sort of like outward zaniness that I've just
Yeah.
never gotten.
The zaniness is in here, man. It's all in the
Yeah,
mind.
absolutely. Yeah, but the ooh shiny, the ooh shiny in the form of like looking at stuff and just always wanting to take in things, taking way too many projects on. I am
Yeah.
so bad about that. I like
Yeah, that's my struggle as well, man. Just
I have
saying yes to too many things.
I'm trying to run like two D&D campaigns. I'm trying to work on like two different game projects at once, which as I say it, I almost am like cringing a little
Mm,
bit because I'm waiting for the tribe to be like, don't you realize that's kind of
yeah.
dumb? And it's like,
Yeah.
yes, I do, but I can't stop myself for some reason.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, with me, I think like routine is something that's not that like I don't know. I don't find it a struggle to be able to implement.
Hmm.
Like I'm pretty good at like being able to go to bed at the same time every day and wake up at the same time every morning.
Hmm.
And this thing in the background, I'm not sure if you can see it, a bit of
I
whiteboard
can.
up there.
Yeah, I was
Um,
wondering what that was.
dude, this like whiteboards are amazing because I find that like,
What's
yeah, sure.
the whiteboards?
Is that a Ness? Are you wearing Ness? Oh, nice.
Yeah, Strawberry Girls. It's a band, but
That's
yeah.
Ness from
So I have
Earthbound.
my yeah
Oh,
my
sweet.
Terry Crews type check whiteboard, but
Beautiful.
yeah, I love whiteboards.
That's so good, eh?
Absolutely.
You just
Yeah.
I just write random shit on there sometimes, like things that are just coming through my mind. I need to write this down.
What is it though specifically about whiteboards that are just there's something about whiteboards that are just like amazing compared to other forms of like writing things down like paper, because
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the ability to erase it. I don't know if what it is, but there's just something super appealing about writing on a whiteboard.
The way I see it is it's like, and this is why I've described it to other people, is it's kind of like the hobby animal, right? The hobby animal
Hmm.
for us is play, which is
Yeah.
NETE. And for me, it's like projecting out like ideas, patterns, and then kind of like just working things out, like just in the extroverted world, just
Hmm.
really like just using this extroverted world to play with things and move things around and work things out, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's like a fascination.
Yeah, I don't know. I always do that. Like my whiteboard, or if I'm bored at a meeting at work, I'll always have like a piece of paper or something, and I'm always just like fiddling out random like conceptual things and trying to play them out on paper or a whiteboard or something.
It sounds like NT, man, like NETE, the play
Yeah.
animal. They say that like I'm not sure how aware you are of this, but a lot of people say that your third animal is like your hobby. It's something
Hmm.
you take fascination in, and you like to just explore it and figure out what's going on.
Hmm. I've always wondered like what is then hobby sleep like?
Well, great question. I know three people who have hobby sleep, and
Yeah.
they love to sleep in. They love
Yeah.
physically like just sleeping in and like waking up late.
Uh-huh.
Um, One of
Yeah.
my friends who's hobby sleep, he loves, like, he's super obsessed with thinking. And like for him, it's funny because it's like this obsession for him. He's like, man, like, I spend like 5 minutes in the shower and I just think it's the most amazing thing ever. I'm like, dude, I do that like all day.
No,
I do it
it's
like
just
hours and hours a day. And he's like, yeah,
I
dude,
can't.
you don't even know how awesome it is.
I can't turn that off, man.
I know.
That's a problem.
Yeah, it's funny. That's interesting. Huh?
Yeah.
Um, okay. So we've covered routine, we've covered like NT stuff. Um, this is a question that I kind of just threw in randomly. Do you feel you're good at reading people, like able to absorb emotions and just kind of understand them and get like an intuitive sense of their intentions, behavior, and personality, like very quickly?
Let's see. It's kind of funny because I feel like I would have thought I was. I feel like OP. I mean, there are certain things I can definitely read on people. I feel like this may be some instance in where, like the shirt.
Sorry. Oh yeah, Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
So
I
so NF.
yeah. I
I'll just stand up, my back's sore.
No worries. That's one thing I'm not really sure if I'm like good at reading people, because I feel like I can throw a whole bunch of different possibilities for why someone is doing something that they are, and it's kind of hard for me to narrow it down sometimes.
Yeah.
I always will think I'm confident. And then it's kind of like partially. I was always wondering if having FE was like making you better at reading people. Like people who had FE were better at it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, the way that I see it, and I've spoken to a few other ENFPs as well about this, and I'm trying to pinpoint, like, because I feel like I'm pretty good at it. Like when I first meet someone, or I'm talking to someone I know, like I just can instantly sense like this undertone, like if they're emotional or if they're not genuine, especially if they're not being genuine. Like I can just almost instantly tell, like if someone is fake. That makes sense?
Yeah. Oh no, that actually definitely makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So you do relate to that to an extent.
Yeah, I can definitely. I feel like I can tell when someone's like telegraphing when they're going to do something. So like if someone's going to ask me something, or if someone's in a specific mood and they're going to like bring something up, I feel like I don't usually feel like I'm like caught by surprise of those things.
You kind of know their intentions or what they're trying to get out of the conversation. Yeah. So the way I see it, and the way like I've been trying to analyze this and try to study it, like just how I do it and why this is a thing for NEFIs. But I kind of pinpointed it down to being like, we kind of, when we're having a communication with someone, when we're watching something talk, or when we're communicating with someone, we kind of will see more of the how they're communicating or the why, rather than like what they are specifically communicating to you. So if someone's telling you something, they're giving you details, giving you facts, you're not necessarily focusing on those facts, but you're looking more at the way they're talking. You're looking at micro expressions in their face. You're looking at the body language. You're kind of looking at everything that's not surrounding the details.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Everything that's not surrounding the details almost makes me feel like very like anti-ST. It's kind of like a very anti-ST thing. I find myself wondering like somebody who is like NEFE, like a play ENTP, how good, like where an ENFP would sit kind of compared to someone like Benedict Cumberbatch or Ellen DeGeneres. Or I definitely feel like a lot of times I will lose a ton of the sensory information as someone's talking to me, and I just kind of will get a tone. I get it's like a feeling.
A feeling?
Yeah, the essence of what they were saying.
Yeah. You get the gist. You get the concept. But the details always get lost. Or sometimes like someone will say a key word and I'll think about it. I'm like, oh, wow. And then like my brain will just start like linking this word to other things or other instances where I've heard this word, and then just trying to figure out what it means and what it also relates to, that I'm not participating in the conversation.
So that's super funny. I always like will like fall out of a conversation for a little bit because I'll be thinking about something pretty specific and I
Yeah.
don't want to entertain it.
Yes.
And I have a lot of people will tell me I have something called Dallasism, where I will just say something that was related. It was like tangentially related to what something said, and there was like
Yeah.
there are 3 or 4 steps in between that makes sense once I explain them. It's not like
Yes.
I feel like some other people are just like they'll say stupid shit, and
Yeah.
then it's just like that. It doesn't make any sense why you said that, and there's just like you were just. But I feel like there's always some tangential progression that I
Yes.
can map as to why what I just said relates to something you said
Yeah.
20 minutes ago.
I know it's because like you've taken the word, then you've like related it to this thing, and then related it to that thing, and then related to this thing and this thing, and then you say this thing over here, and then people are just like, "What the fuck?"
You know, what do you say?
But that also like explains why we can sometimes be good like with humor or like with
Yeah.
like being funny is because like if we don't take as
Mhm.
many steps, we can kind of say something that's slightly related but a little bit abstract and weird that to make people go, "Oh, that's funny."
Right. And I always feel like it's like something being just a little bit removed from something is just generally the essence of what makes something funny.
Mm,
Like that it's still somewhat related, but there's something, and maybe this is just observer humor, but like there's something that's askew about the model or the presentation of what you're saying
yeah.
that is just very funny.
Yeah.
Um,
I know. And some people take that the wrong way.
yeah, yeah.
That's funny, man. Cool. Well, look, that's most of the questions I had, but I actually wanted to talk about the journaling thing because I think that's interesting, and I think a lot of
Mhm.
people may actually find that interesting too. So how do you use your iPad for journaling?
So my iPad for journaling, I will use this app called Notability, and I'm using something that it's a pseudo bullet journal. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the concept of what a bullet journal is,
Vaguely.
vaguely, but so I will write out I'll write out like Monday, and I'll draw a map for like the calendar of say June, and I'll have like all my tasks that are specifically like these are things that should happen in June.
Yep.
I have certain symbols that I'll use for those. Like if it's a bullet point, it will be something that's achievable. An open circle is an event.
Hmm.
And Notability is just kind of this app that will just give you this like a ton of paper, so you can go through. And I have like a little pen right here.
Oh, cool.
Um,
So the
so then I'll just
Apple Pencil.
yeah
Yeah, I got that as
yeah
well.
yeah, it was super nice. It's like my favorite thing about it.
That's
But I'll write those out, and I'll write out not only something for June, but something for Saturday. And Saturday, this specific date, here are the tasks that I have that are all in bullet points.
yeah.
Dashes are for comments. Open circles are for events that take place at a certain point in this time.
Yeah.
And I will look at the journal at the end of the day, and I will see the bullet points that weren't completed, and I will transfer all of those to June as a month.
Right.
Because then those can just kind of exist in the space of things that I didn't complete today, but things that I should get completed within the space of June. And if they are very important, and if I should get them done immediately, I can pull them back into the next day as a bullet point. And
That's awesome.
if I can complete them, I can complete them. I'll just exit off on the day, and I'll exit off on the month if there are 2 things.
So this system that works with, the circles and line, is that like part of this app Notability, or is this a system you've developed yourself?
It's something called bullet journaling, and Notability is just sort of like, in my opinion, probably the best. It's my favorite app for just like writing things down, drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like $10 too, and it's just or
It's worth it.
$10 too. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I bought an iPad with the pencil, like for reasons like that, just to be able to like write things down and to write and to get like creative and stuff. But then I bought this journal because I wanted to try this out. I mean, this is great, but now I've got like 2 things to carry around with me. So
yeah, that's frustrating. That's why I don't carry the physical one anymore.
Smart.
So
Okay.
yeah,
I'm gonna check it out. It sounds good.
Yeah, I'll end up sending you some pictures of kind of like what I used to do with my bullet journal, because I sent those to Dave and Shannon as well, just sort of for the purposes of typing.
Yeah.
They thought it was super funny how fixated I was on my organization strategy when I was talking to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that
fun.
demon SI. But yeah,
All right.
Notability. Yeah, Notability and Procreate, definitely worth it.
Oh, Procreate. Yeah, someone at work is trying to get me to buy that as well. Dude, I really want to get into Procreate, but that's just another thing that I'm going to take on and not have time to do.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you to do another hobby.
Yeah, I really want to do it. I think I need to. There's a few other projects and stuff I'm working on which I want to kind of get finished off, and then maybe I'll look into doing that. But all right, dude. Look. Thanks for this. Is there any other questions and stuff you wanted to cover off, or any other things came to mind that you want to talk about?
Let's see. I mean, I could rattle off for a super long time.
I think we both could. Let's be honest. Just
yeah.
talk about anything randomly and just mumble on. But all right, dude. Well, look. I'll stop the recording. But yeah, look. Thanks for just spending time and chatting about your type and stuff. And hopefully, this has given some awesome information for the class and for other people who are interested in this stuff. So
yeah, for sure. It's super awesome that you're doing these.
Cool, man. Thanks a lot.